Pool. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning. It's the last day of July, and it's hot out there.
It is hot.
Well, you live in Florida. It's supposed to be hot in July, right?
And it feels good. Have to appreciate every day.
And your air conditioner isn't working.
No.
And because your air conditioner isn't working, and I know you rent, so your landlord's going to take care of it, but it's an expensive thing, and you might have to wait a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I went online yesterday, and I looked for a cheap air conditioner. Just something to hold you over, okay? I found one for $80. I said, $80? Now, this is an amazing thing. And I looked at the ad for it, and holy mackerel, it's a little box. You put it on the desk where you're sitting or your breakfast table. It's not going to cool the whole house, but it will cool your area, okay?
Oh, my God.
I said, let me look and see if anybody's done a review of this thing, right? So I went to the reviews, and I went to 3 different people, and they're all young people. They all tried it. They were all excited about it, and they all gave it thumbs down. They tried it.
Wow.
They said, this doesn't cool me down. This doesn't do anything, right? Mm-hmm. It's just a little box. It's $80. So I could have spent $80 because this advertisement had done what? Betrayed me.
Yes.
It is the one rule I have in doing this radio show is if I don't know something, I'm not going to pretend I do know it. And if I don't believe something is going to work, like that stupid oil that was supposed to cure Alzheimer's disease.
Yes.
Remember, I walked out. I said, "I'm not talking about this anymore.
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
My audience. If they don't trust me, if they don't trust you, we're done. They're going to be gone.
That's right.
They're going to find somebody else to listen to.
Exactly.
Dr. Elaine Eisenman has done a study of betrayal. That's amazing. I can't wait to hear what she found out. Her book is called Betrayed, A Survivor's Guide to Lying, Cheating, and Double Dealing. Over 50 true stories of betrayal on how each situation was handled. In addition to this amazing topic that she's decided to tackle, she's a financial advisor. Mm-hmm. Now, we can't be betrayed by those guys.
No,
You're putting your money in their hands, right? Mm-hmm. Dr. Eisenman, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Larry. Wonderful to be here. I think actually we're hotter up here in Boston than you are in Florida right now.
Oh, really?
We're in the middle of a heat wave, which doesn't happen very often.
But do not buy this $80 air conditioner. I'm telling you.
Will not do that.
No.
Will not do that.
That is the craziest thing. The ad will make you think. But we have this all the time, right? We have advertisements that tell us this will make you feel better and that will make you healthier and younger and all that stuff, right?
But, Larry, your example is a perfect example of one of the key findings of our book, which is the criticality of wise trust. There's 3 types of trust. There's blind trust, which is, it seemed like a good price. It said it was going to do that. Well, you go out and buy that air conditioner and you plop it down and you've just thrown out $80 because it was blind. You did no testing.
Correct.
You didn't listen to your gut and say, doesn't that seem awfully cheap for an air conditioner?
Right.
And another is organizational trust, where you have trust that people work in the best interest of the company as opposed to themselves, which gets us to the topic for the day. And the last is wise trust, which is really trust but verify. So feel good about something, but never, ever believe that it will happen unless you've listened to the red flags, you've listened to your gut, you've checked it out, exactly as you did with the air conditioner. So kudos to you.
Well, kudos to me, but I must tell you that when I was reading the information about your book, I had a recollection of a time when I was party to a betrayal, and it was stupid. Should I tell you what it was, or should I just avoid?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. But I just want to clarify one thing. I am not a financial advisor.
Oh, yeah.
I advise companies, their senior teams, who are trying to grow and scale.
Oh, okay. I got that. That was my error.
Not sure what that means.
No problem. I just wanted to be sure.
Okay.
All right. So, when I was younger, I grew up on Long Island in New York, and I went back for a visit like when I was 20 something, and now I'm 64. So this is a long time ago, but it still stings. Okay, when I think about this. So I was going to leave from Newark Airport. To get there, we have to pass Coney Island. Okay, sort of, kind of. Mm-hmm. So my friend wanted to leave early so we could go to Coney Island real quickly and play some of the video games over there. Stupid, right? We're 20 something years old. We're going to play video games. So he wanted me to agree to lie to his wife that we were going to get some no-dos because we had been up all night. We didn't want to fall asleep on the drive. And I was party to it. And I felt, and it's a stupid little lie. Why couldn't we just say we're going to go play video games?
Yeah, exactly.
But think about how that still stings 40-something years later, that I was party to that. I went along with it.
So, Larry, what about it stings so badly? Why do you still remember that story?
I have this part of me that wants to, I want people to know that you can trust me, and if she ever found out, then she would probably say, "Oh my gosh, you lied about that? That just blows everything away about everything I've ever tried to be."
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're talking about is you violated your personal moral code.
Correct, because we wanted to play games.
Right, and so what you've now done by doing that is really questioned what you believe about yourself. What you believe yourself to be a person with good values, good strong integrity. You did this, and now you're forced to question: can I believe that about myself, or can others believe that about me?
Yeah, you're right. But I think more so then, like immediately afterwards. You know, and part of it that stings even more is the reason he didn't tell her is because he thought she might want to come along. He didn't want her. He didn't want her in the game room.
Oh my!
I know.
You're supposed to be married and share everything.
See, now even Robin's mad at me. 40-something years later.
So was his wife? Did his wife ever find out?
You know, she does listen to the show, so.
She now knows. 40 years later, she knows.
Yeah. I might have caused a problem. But
are they still married is the important question.
Yeah, I know. It's
a conversation tonight.
Well, your book
is a phone call.
Well, your book is amazing because you have interviewed so many people and have so many true stories, and you have different scenarios between personal and business. And one of the personal is about a teenager who finds out that her parents are getting divorced.
Yes. So, well, it's not really that she finds out that her parents are getting divorced. That comes later in the story, but I can tell you that story. And I find that to be one of the most difficult stories of all the stories in the book. Imagine that you're 17 years old. You're coming home from soccer practice. Your boyfriend has been in and out of the house. He graduated last year. He's looking for a job. He's a musician. And so he tends to hang out at your house when you're home from soccer practice. And you come home, and you hear some weird noises in the house coming from your mother's room. So you can't figure what's going on. So you're worried. She may be sick. She may be having a heart attack. You run to her room, fling open the door, and your mother and your boyfriend are in bed.
Oh my gosh.
Horrible.
And your mother looks up and says, "What we have is true love. What the two of you had was puppy love. And we're getting married. I'm divorcing your father."
Holy cow. Wow.
You're 17 years old. Welcome to the world.
Oh my gosh. How did she end up doing?
So what happened is her father was, her parents had two homes, one in Latin America and one in New York. And she called her father immediately to tell him what happened. She didn't care if she told her mother's story and said, "I'm coming home. I can't stay here." And her father said, "I can't let you come home. What your mother has done is so grievous to me and to you that if I look at you, all I'll see is her, and I can't handle this.
Wow.
You have to stay in New York."
Poor girl. Oh my gosh.
So here she is abandoned, totally betrayed by everything a child believes in, which is that their parents are always there for them. And fortunately, she had a wonderful soccer coach and a group of friends, who were her teammates, who rallied around her, got her through it. Her coach convinced her that the best path to her future was to simply focus on the future and not on the present. She stayed home as minimally as possible. She applied to colleges. She got into a college. And fast forward, her mother was married to this guy for 10 years, and then they divorced. She and her father reconciled. Her father reached out to her a few years later and said, "I treated you horribly. I thought of myself first. I should, I could understand if you never speak with me again." But she took him back. She forgave him. She found forgiveness in her heart. She has never reconciled with her mother. She is now a mother, and she won't let her mother, who has tried repeatedly, see her children. But her father is a strong part of the family. And she said that one of the things that got her through was the comments of her therapist, who said, sometimes when a tree has a diseased limb, you need to cut it off. And that's what she did with her mother.
Wow.
I love that.
How did it affect her ability to trust anybody anymore?
It was very, very difficult. And she says that if it hadn't been for the immediate support of her teammates and her soccer coach, and ultimately a very good therapist, she was in therapy for many years, she never could have developed a relationship with the man who is now her husband. She is a great proponent of wise trust. It takes her a long time to trust people.
How is it that you got into the financial world and not the psychological world? You seem like a psychologist.
I am a psychologist.
Oh, okay.
I have a PhD in organizational psychology.
Okay. So how would you advise a new guy in her life, or a new guy in anybody's life who's been betrayed? How does he handle the circumstance? Because he knows, if he knows the story, that she's probably not going to trust him right off the bat.
To be very, very careful, and to be very transparent in his actions.
Yeah.
And to understand that she will never be able to forget what happened. And so he has to be tolerant and willing to listen to her struggle and provide support to her, because every life event for her will take her back to that betrayal by her mother.
Sure will, yeah.
And now that she's the mother of a child and his wife, the struggles continue to appear. And even though she has forgiven her father, she will never forgive her mother. And she has essentially closed the iron door on her, but she can't get her out of her mind.
You also have stories in the business realm. One woman took a young man under her wing for the company that she was in charge with, and then all of a sudden his ego overtook him, and she was saying things to him, and he said, "Well, this isn't your company anymore." And I'm just, all of those stories in your book really take me aback with some of the attitudes that are in there.
And I think so part of the issue, again, goes back to trust. And who do you trust, and how do you trust? For the stories we told about people in organizations, people go into an organization believing that they can trust in the belief that the organization's needs are put before individual and personal gain. And because you cannot test every single person all the time, because you wouldn't be able to function at work, there has to be a basic understanding around the role of self-interest and the role of the organization and the role of colleagues. And so when people are betrayed in organizations, it comes as a shock, because you believe that everyone buys into the same, it goes back to Larry's original point, the same values. And you don't expect your colleagues to have different values.
The one thing that has happened, I don't have a specific example, but if I thought about it, I probably could come up with one, but I don't need to, is when somebody explains like once you learn about a betrayal, and then they explain it saying, "I'm sorry, I had no choice. Contractually, I was obligated to not tell you." That kind of a thing, where there's a legal thing happening. And I often think, well, guys, that just changes everything about our relationship. We work together, but I thought we were friends. And obviously we're not. If a contract is going to stand between you and me, right?
Well, and Larry, you raise a very important point here about, is it possible ever to be a friend with someone at work in the true meaning of the word friend? Larry Steibel, who is an organizational psychologist and who's done a great deal of writing, has talked about the fact that betrayal in the workplace is difficult because people make the assumption that you can have work friends when in fact you need to think about them more as colleagues or chums or alliances who work while it works and who don't work while it doesn't, but friendship isn't truly possible because at any moment a colleague, somebody that you work with, can be asked to do something for the organization where they have to put the organization ahead of their relationship with you.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I always recommend is when people have to think long and hard about what you trust your work colleagues with. And I recommend that everybody create what I call a board of advisors who are outside the organization, but who you can use as a sounding board and a reality check. Because if you tell secrets, if you trust confidences, if you make yourself vulnerable to people at work, it's very hard to control what others will do with that information. Which is not to say you shouldn't trust people, but it says it has to be wise trust, and it's best to treat people who are outside, who aren't inside in the organization.
Yeah. Well, one thing, the book cover shows a wolf in sheep's clothing, the parable, I guess that it would be. In our experience with other people, if you have enough times where a sheep turned out to be a wolf, then you start to not trust anybody. And I think in the workplace, or even in as citizens of the country, when we're looking at presidential candidates, not to make it political, but the same thing happens. We've been betrayed so much by the people who've either made decisions for us at the workplace or in our governments that we are absolutely cynical about everything they say.
And that's a really critical point. The one piece that's important about betrayal is you can't be betrayed by people you don't trust. So if trust hasn't occurred, if trust hasn't occurred, then I can't be betrayed because I never expected you to do the right thing to begin with.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, that pretty much goes across that. That's what my father would have said, something similar. He used to tell me. He used to say, "Don't trust anybody." Period. Don't trust anybody. And I do this.
Which is a very cynical way to grow up.
I know, but it's kind of the way he was a policeman in New York, so.
So I can understand that.
Probably where it comes from, yeah.
When you were interviewing and doing all of your research, how did you get the people to trust you?
That's a wonderful question, and I was shocked they did. Many of our interviews were friends of friends of friends of friends, so there was a linkage of potential trust. But the big surprise for me is I posted on my LinkedIn page that I was doing this book and asked for people to contact me if they were willing to tell their story. And I had over 20 people respond who were a contact, not a primary contact, second contact, third contact, and so on. And even though I told everyone that their story was anonymous, we would never reveal it, we wouldn't change the story, but we would change the situation. We might change the gender of the people, anything to protect their identity. There was no reason for them to trust me, but I think people wanted to tell their story. And so many people have been ashamed of being betrayed that the idea that they could help another person who had been through it by talking about how they got through it overcame their reluctance about could they trust me.
Did you have betrayers contact you also? People who felt guilty later on and changed their ways?
Sadly, no. We tried really, really hard
wow.
to find people who were willing to tell their story. What we have found, though, is that for the most part, the few people who actually gave us the name of their betrayer and said, "Why don't you call him or call her?" have told us it wasn't betrayal. That they just the person who was betrayed simply misunderstood my intention.
Oh my gosh!
Of course.
Yeah.
Or they set themselves up. I was really blatant. I didn't do anything untrustworthy, and just denied the situation.
You also spoke about revenge.
Yes. So the critical learning for us about revenge is that revenge, before one considers revenge, one always considers revenge instantly. But the best track is to really use what we call strategic patience. Revenge doesn't have a time stamp on it. And the challenge of revenge is that you will reduce yourself to the lowest common denominator and become no better than your betrayer. So revenge gives your betrayer the opportunity to say, see, they deserved it.
Well, unless you can be in control of somebody else's karma.
Right.
I did this. I'll tell you real quickly. Robin and I have been doing a show together since 1988. Okay, we're a team. We're a local team. Obviously, we're not national in any way, but the local people all know us, and I guess we can say honestly that we were popular. Maybe we still are. I don't know.
And I see you're in a band together.
But we do a musical thing for children. Yes.
Right.
But anyway, so we had the morning show, and the boss at the time at that radio station was always, up front with us. We thought, and then here comes this young lady who's going to be the savior of the station, and she's got nice legs. Okay, so and apparently those legs talk to him because fast forward to the moment where Robin is told she's fired, and I'm told Robin is no longer with us, and I say, "Oh, who's taking her place?" And the lady says, the lady now in charge, the newcomer with the legs, she says, "Well, we don't know yet, but I'm sure you'll like her." And I said, "Her? If you don't know who it is, how do you know it's a her?" And I said, "Instant karma's going to get you because I'm walking out." And the last thing they wanted was for me to walk out. And
Exactly.
I did. I walked out. So I said, "Well, that's it." And then I went home and I said, "What the heck am I going to do now?" So that was betrayal.
So how did that get resolved, Larry?
Because nothing worked for them after that. After we were gone, the listeners said, "Hey, what happened? We don't like these new guys." And next thing you know, everybody left the station, and we were called back. So, yeah.
That's fabulous. And we have in the book, we have a number of stories about karma where karma is absolutely better than somebody taking revenge by themselves. And it works every time.
Was it orchestrated karma? Because I think in my case, you would call that I kind of did the karma. I had an easy decision, just leave.
Well, we have one story where a lawyer who was up for partner was ultimately told by the managing director, who kept having different hurdles for her, that he would never make a partner he would never take as a partner in his law firm a woman who was pregnant, because obviously she just wouldn't work out. And, she'd want to stay home with the baby. It would distract her. And she had the record of the highest wins for cases in the entire firm. And she basically walked out after he said time and time again, "Next time you'll be made partner, next time," and next time never came.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my.
When she walked out the door, his executive assistant took her aside and said, "I have a file of women who the same thing has happened to at the hands of this managing director. I'm going to hand it to you just in case you ever need it."
Wow.
And, she said, "Because I'm getting totally sick of seeing the same scenario. It's obscene." Fast forward a number of years, this woman went to another law firm as partner, had her child, had a second child, and was called by the White House about the possibility of this partner becoming a federal judge. She told her story. And she told about the file of women that this had happened with.
Good for her.
He did not become a federal judge.
Oh, thank God.
What we need. We need people like that, yeah.
How wonderful is that as a karma story?
That's a great one. Yeah, and that's kind of created by another person. It wasn't just one of these, like, lightning hit a tree and it fell on your car.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
No. Came a number of years ago. And there you have it. Karma won.
I wish we had more time to talk. Dr. Elaine Eisenman, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. The book is you share authorship with Susan Stolberg. Tell me a little bit about
Yes.
Susan.
Susan is the founder of Women Corporate Directors, of which was recently has become Women Corporate Directors Foundation in partnership with KPMG. It is a global organization of women who sit on public boards. She's a former White House fellow and has a long history in putting together boards and in publishing.
Do you have children? Not to be
Yes,
too
3.
personal. So do you teach them to be careful because everybody is capable of betraying somebody?
Yes, but I don't want them to be cynical.
I know.
So it's trust but verify. Don't go into situations expecting the worst.
So if you were on my father's shoulder when he told his children, don't trust anybody, what would you have whispered?
I would say begin with trust, but always keep your eyes open.
I love that. That is so great.
And he would have said, no, don't trust anybody.
Of course not. He's a New York City cop. What do you expect? He couldn't trust anybody. He walked the streets.
I found the book.
But optimism and it's a mix of optimism and realism.
This has been a great interview. I found the book on Amazon. You've had 5-star reviews across the board. I have a copy of the book. If I have a listener who would like it, give me a call, 622-9622. I'll set it aside for you. One more question, I guess. Do you have a website you'd like to direct us to?
Yes, bouncefrombetrayal.com.
Oh, awesome. Bouncefrombetrayal.com. Oh, my gosh! I think you're really going to help a lot of people with this one. I think everybody has either been a betrayer or has been betrayed at least once in their life.
And the reason we use the word bounce, we've actually developed an acronym for it. And so bounce stands for how important it is to be bold, optimistic, undaunted, nimble, courageous, and empowered, and to become the person you want to be, not the person you were before the betrayal.
I love that. Let me give your book away real quick. Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
This is Helen, Larry. Good morning.
Helen, good morning. You got the book. It'll be waiting for you.
Thank you so much, Larry. Have a good day.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Rob.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to what you're talking about. Good topic.
Thanks so much.
First
Thank you, Robin and Larry. And I'm glad you came back on air.
Me too. I believe in all those years, this is the first time this topic has ever come up, believe it or not.
It is hard to believe.
From a psychological perspective, anyway. I'm sure it came up with political talks, but thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. We'll be right back.
Good luck with your air conditioning, Robin.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. The Marion County Sheriff's Office is investigating the deaths of 2 elderly people whose bodies were discovered yesterday in their mobile home in Silver Springs. Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services, Nikki Fried, held a meeting in Lake City yesterday with farmers to talk about importation threats, spearheading a campaign to encourage consumers to buy local. Tempers flared during a Lake County Commission meeting because of a plan for the Lake County Historical Society to display a statue of a Confederate general. The Trump administration is scouting sites in Central Florida